ladies and gentlemen, now hosting the RizzoCast, put your hands together for Steven Risotto!
What's going on, everybody, and welcome. My name is Steven Risotto. I cover the San Francisco Giants for SF Bay, and I'm the host of RizzoCast, a podcast that features current and former big league players, coaches, fans, media, and others who are regarded as some of the brightest minds around the game of baseball. Today's guest is Trevor Hildenberger, a right-handed pitcher in the San Francisco Giants organization. He's 32 years old. He's a San Jose product, and he's pitched in parts of 4 big league seasons, including 2017 to 2019 in the bullpen for the Minnesota Twins and 2 games with the New York Mets in 2021. After flexor surgery, he's now healthy, and he was invited to big league camp in Scottsdale with the Giants before being reassigned, a few weeks ago to minor league camp. Trevor was also very instrumental in helping minor leaguers join the MLB Players Association starting this season. We discuss competing for a spot in spring training, growing up in the Bay Area as a Giants fan, helping with the efforts to unionize the minors, his pitching style, new MLB rules, so much more coming up next on RizzoCast. This is episode number 133, and let's get started. All right, and we are back with Trevor Hildenberger. And Trevor, I guess first things first, I appreciate you coming on. I know it's been an interesting spring training so far. The weather down there in Scottsdale, Arizona has been, I believe it started off cold, but it's nice now, if I recall. Is that right?
Yeah, you got it. It did start off cold. The first week of camp was pretty chilly, but it's warmed up now, and it's like 80 today. I think it was like 80. It was gorgeous.
Yeah, bring that weather to California, because California, we've had 3 nonstop months of rain, and you never see it.
My wife and daughter and son are all back in Los Altos, California. They're without power right now because of the storm, so they're at her parents, my in-laws' house right now.
Yeah, no, that definitely sounds believable, actually, because it has not let up, and hopefully we're going to get some dry days soon. We'll get to spring training in a second, but I do want to ask you about some of the happenings in baseball right now. Everybody's kind of glued to the World Baseball Classic on TV. Everybody's kind of locked in on Team Dominican, Team Puerto Rico, Team USA. Are you kind of keeping tabs on it? Are you watching any World Baseball Classic?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, the World Baseball Classic is awesome. It's on all the TVs in the facility when we're at camp. So when you're rolling out or getting a lift in, the games are on. And our AAA hitting coach, Holbert Cabrera, is the manager of Colombia. So we're all rooting for Colombia. Jock's obviously playing for Team Israel. There's giant ties everywhere. So, yeah, definitely following. I think, who's playing right now?
I believe it's right now. I just looked, because we're recording this right now on Tuesday night. And this is probably going to go out sometime Wednesday morning. Yeah, Great Britain, Mexico. So the Great Britain, Mexico right now, bottom 2 as we're recording this, and they're kind of scoreless right now. Have you kind of kept up with any team in particular? I know you mentioned Jock and some of the Giants ties at all, but have you seen one team more than others?
No, I kind of just like watching the game, and then whatever game is on, I can find a storyline that I care about, or people or some that I know. So I'm just watching it for good baseball and the energy that fans bring to the stadium for this type of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And is it a cool thing that baseball is kind of becoming more of a world game? I mean, we talk about soccer and how much of a world game that is. That's kind of the obvious one, right? Football is kind of just like an American thing, I guess, an American tradition. Basketball, we're starting to see more international guys get into the NBA. But it's kind of cool to see some of these foreign countries that, the Great Britons of the world that qualified for this thing. And, if a little kid's watching it in one of these respective countries, maybe they're going to get turned on to baseball. And I think that's a good thing. What do you think about that?
Yeah, it's a great point. I think it definitely helped the game grow. And if people can tune in and the games are exciting, I think moving forward, there's going to be some really good baseball. It's a great, I guess, advertisement for baseball around the world.
Yeah, no doubt. And let's get into you now, I guess, personally. Showing up to big league camp earlier this spring, a non-roster invite guy. And it's with the San Francisco Giants. I know you've been a part of the organization for a few years now, but does it ever like click that this is a team that was kind of local? Because you're a San Jose guy. It was local when you were growing up. Do you still kind of pinch yourself that you're in the orange and black and playing for a team that maybe you grew up watching?
Yeah, it's definitely a cool feeling to wear those colors. I think I grew up going to Candlestick with my dad, and then Pac Bell when they moved over there, and watching them go to the 2002 World Series and cheering them on through college. It's just been a kind of a full circle moment for me, especially, I was rehabbing last year and I stopped off in San Jose and pitched for a week there. And I think pitching for the San Jose Giants, which is, I went to their minor league games a lot more than I went to the San Francisco Giants,
Mhm.
just because they were easier and cheaper and obviously um, closer to my home. And that was a really nice moment to have my parents sit in that stadium and watch me pitch for the San Jose Giants, which is like, you know, one of the places I fell in love with baseball. Down the foul lines, chasing foul balls with my friends, learning guys' names, watching them play in San Francisco. Eventually, it was just a very cool experience.
Yeah, and that stadium has a lot of passionate fans. And I do have to ask, because you mentioned that you just rehabbed down there. Do they still have some of the same traditions that they had maybe like 10 years ago? I think I haven't been there in a while, but I know they have the beer batter. Did they have the beer batter when you were there?
Definitely still have the beer batter. Yeah, of course.
The beer
They,
batter, and then there's that car that drives down the right field line, and the players have to hit the headlight off the car. Is that
yeah,
still a thing there?
that's exactly what I was thinking of. No, it's not a thing anymore. They stopped doing it because the truck doesn't run. It's like a big like old milk truck or something, and they bust the headlights out. No, that used to be really popular when I was a kid, and it doesn't run anymore, so they haven't done it.
Man, how hard is it to get a new truck down there? I feel like that would be like not hard at all. But I guess
Maybe next year.
yeah, maybe next year. That was a fun thing. I know the players got like gift cards and that was a big deal. The $50 Chipotle gift card for busting out a headlight probably goes a long way. Um so I mean, what was camp like showing up there? And obviously you're a guy trying to get back to the big leagues. I know you battled through some injuries. Um was there a sense of like, okay, this team's trying to give me a look? Did you have expectations, I guess, going into spring training? What was kind of your mindset there going into Scottsdale Stadium there?
I think the same mindset I've had every spring training, which is get people out. I mean, whatever the intention is for what roster you're trying to make, you still every time you toe the rubber, you want to get out the guy in the box. Doesn't matter who it is, what level, what if you're on the main field, the backfield, live BP. You're just trying to execute pitches and get outs. And I think equally important for me this year was to prove that I was fully healthy. I rehabbed from flexor surgery last year, and I got back on the field at the end of the year and pitched in San Jose and Sacramento, which was great to get back into competition. But that having a full off season, train my body, and get ready for another 6-month grind was also hugely important. So coming into camp to prove that I was healthy and still got fuel left in the tank.
And what does it say to you that, because the Giants have stuck with you through this. They've kind of stuck with you through the flexor surgery, and you're in camp getting another, I guess, opportunity with first the big league team, and now you're still in the organization. Is it kind of a sense of gratitude that the organization has stuck with you? Because I mean, a lot of people that would be in your shoes, maybe the Giants wouldn't want to pay for the rehab. Maybe they would cut someone in your shoes loose, but you're getting a different opportunity, and you're getting another opportunity, I should say, with the Giants. So does that kind of give you a sense of gratitude at all that they've stuck with you?
Yeah, obviously, I'm very happy to have a job and keep playing baseball. Um, and when I decided to get the surgery, and at the end of 2021, the Giants offered me a 2-year minor league deal to come back so that I could rehab with them, get the surgery with their doctors. And obviously, they had faith and believe in me that I can get out to the big league level and contribute to the team again. So, yeah, I'm very grateful for the opportunity. I hope I can make everybody say that the contract was worth it.
Mhm. Yeah, no, absolutely. And recently you were a part of the one of the rounds of cuts. You were reassigned to minor league camp, and now you're at the complex at Papago. what for those that don't know, what does it mean to be reassigned? What does the organization tell you? Do they give you something to work on? What is kind of the message that they gave? And I guess what does it mean to just, head down to minor league camp and be reassigned?
Yeah, essentially, if you're off the 40-man roster, you get reassigned to minor league camp as opposed to optioned, which are two different terms and they mean different things. Option just means you're sent to the minor leagues, but you're on the 40-man roster. So I'm not on it. And reassigned just means, yeah, you're not going to break with the big league team to start the year. So I've been sent to minor league camp. Yeah, I got a very clear picture of what I need to work on. And I have a plan of what I need to do to get there. And now it's just going about my business and executing.
And from what I heard, that complex at Papago is one of the top facilities in the organization, maybe even better than the big league facility. Do you get that same kind of I guess impression of it?
It's really nice. Yeah, I was there last year when I was rehabbing, and it's an incredibly newly renovated facility. I'm not sure how many millions it costs, but it's very nice and it's got everything you need. It's got a big weight room, nice training room, good aqua room. It provides you a great video room, and all the fields have good cameras on them and a motion capture, um, room in the Papa Dome, which is like the indoor facility where you can hit and take ground balls no matter the weather. It gets super hot down in Phoenix. So in the summer, that place comes in handy. And motion capture can analyze, biomechanics and the way guys move and what kind of improvements we can make to tweak guys' mechanics to get, maybe a little more performance or put them in a better position to stay healthy, whatever it may be. They give you a ton of resources here to improve you as a baseball player.
Yeah, there you go. A lot of resources for sure. And I know I mentioned off air that we talked to Dylan Cumming, who was mentioning the same, kind of echoing the same thing. He said if there's anything that he needed, they had it. Like food, they had great chefs, they had, great everything at the facility. So it's cool that the Giants are kind of nourishing their minor leaguers, for sure. And I asked for some questions on Twitter and a few people responded, and one of them asked, and we kind of covered this a little bit. You were a Giants fan because I know, some people in San Jose also could go the Oakland A's route, but is that right? You were primarily a Giants fan growing up?
Yes, definitely. I was primarily a Giants fan. Like I said, my dad and I used to go to Candlestick and watch the Giants play there. I remember skipping school and sitting in the nosebleeds in dead center field with my binoculars and watching Rod Beck get out of a Mounts jam, and then Brian Johnson hitting a walk-off home run to win the NL West in 1997. I skipped school for that game. One of my fondest memories.
Well, there you go. And to not date yourself, but I might be doing this when I'm saying this. That was actually the date of my parents' wedding rehearsal. So you're gonna hate me for that, but the Brian Johnson home run game kind of screwed with the traffic in San Francisco as they were trying to get this wedding
That's awesome.
rehearsal off the ground. Did you have any like favorite players? Because I know a lot of people in that era are just like, it's Barry, 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 Barry. Were you a Barry guy, or was there anybody else that caught your eye?
Yeah, of course. I was a Barry guy. I mean, who's the best player on the planet? It's hard. He's in your backyard. It's, really easy to appreciate greatness like that. But I also was a big fan of JT Snow, Jeff Kent, Rich Aurelia, Bill Miller, um, Marvin Bernard, Kirk Reeder, Sean Estes, Jason Schmidt. I mean, the list goes on and on for those late 90s, early 2000s Giants that I watched, 130 games a year probably.
Yeah, a few of those guys have come on. JT Snow's been on here. Sean Estes has been on here. Russ Ortiz has been on here. So you're joining again. Another club that you're joining is those guys that have been on. But and yeah, I mean that's pretty awesome. Have you gotten the chance to meet Barry Bonds at all? Because I know he's around. I don't know how much he's around at spring training, but did you get a chance to meet him as a kid? Maybe as a pro?
No, I've never met Barry, but obviously would relish the opportunity if it arose.
Yeah, no, that would be, a lot of people. Jock always talks about Barry Bonds and the impact that he's had on him offensively. Then we got to talk WCL because I mentioned this. I'm a fellow WCL grad. You are a Archbishop Midi Monarch. Was Midi good when you were there? Because it seems like they're good every year.
Yeah, they were good when I was there. We were I graduated in 09. Mitch Haniger was the same grade as me. So it's kind of crazy to be playing with a guy in 2023 that you met in 2005.
Yeah.
Homeroom. So yeah, we played together all 4 years at Midi. We won. Oh, we went to the section finals twice and WCAL finals a couple times, but never won it when I was there. They won it the year after.
Now, what would you say is Midi's biggest rival? Is it St. Francis? Because the vicinity. Did you guys hate Sarah? What was kind of the school that you guys just absolutely despised? Valley Christian, maybe? I know they're in the mix.
I don't know. There was always different teams at different years, kind of. I always thought it was Bellarmine.
Yeah, another one.
But Valley Christian was really good. Sarah was really good, and St. Francis was really good. So there were a lot of really talented teams in that league, and we play them through the year and then run into them again in the CCS finals. I think we played Valley Christian my junior year and Sarah my senior year, and St. Francis along the way. So it was just fun playing good baseball at that time.
Yeah, now when you go down to Sarah, there's just, I mean, you can't go 5 feet without hearing the name Tom Brady. I mean, even the field has, Brady Family Field. It's plastered all over the place. So it's kind of like their only identity. I hate Sarah, so I'm just gonna put that out there. Sarah's just something I hate, despise them. The Sarah boys were always the ones that I thought were the most obnoxious, but that's neither here nor there. Um, but you mentioned Haniger. Haniger was actually the WCL receptions leader, I believe, until 2019 when somebody broke that record. But you mentioned he was in your homeroom. Do you remember anything about him as a player? Did he stand out at all at that point as well?
Yeah, of course. He was a great player. Actually, freshman year, he was our shortstop. Um, and I think he like because he already had a good arm, so I think he pitched a little bit and like would close games. I don't really remember. But then when he made varsity, he was always an outfielder, really fast, a lot of power. I mean, similar tools to what he has now. He's just grown into maximizing those tools, but he's always been a very advanced player and really good. He's definitely one of the best players on our team.
And then you go on the Cal Berkeley, of course. And why was that an attractive option for you for college? Did you have any offers out of high school? Was Cal kind of, you had your mind set on it, or was there any other opportunities that you had? Why was Berkeley the choice for you?
I think yeah, I did have a couple of offers around the West Coast, but um, Cal was the choice because of the academic prestige of the university. I think I valued the degree from Cal being a big deal, and when I had the opportunity to go there, I thought, yeah, and also Pac-12 baseball or Pac-10 at the time. I wanted to play as highly a level, high competition, week in and week out, and I thought the Pac-12 offered that, so I chose Cal, and it was the perfect place for me. I enjoyed my 5 years there, and um, yeah, very happy with my decision.
Yeah, no doubt. And one thing I wanna mention, you mentioned the academic that helped you at Cal and the program that they had there. It might have carried on to what you ended up helping out with when you got into pro ball. You were drafted by the Twins, and then you kind of noticed something that a lot of people have been tooting the horn of in terms of the minor league situation. And you were kind of instrumental in advocating for a union with Major League Baseball, and now minor league baseball players are now a part of the Major League Baseball Players Association. How did you kind of get involved in that? What kind of brought, how did that get brought to your attention? Obviously, you're living the life of a minor leaguer. You're not getting paid much. You're probably not eating well. You're probably, living with like 7, 8 other guys. I hear that a ton. What kind of opened your eyes to actually getting involved in terms of just kind of sticking with the status quo?
I think when you kind of live in squalor for multiple years, you're highly motivated to make some changes. And I realized early on in my minor league career that as players, we didn't have much power under the old rules and over our circumstances and our work conditions. So I was always interested in the possibility of change. And then um, social media is how I found out about a group called Advocates for Minor Leaguers, – which was led by Harry Marino. And they were just about kind of sharing to the public, because I don't think a lot of people understood what the life of a minor leaguer looks like. And players were able to share their experiences firsthand staying at, and they could show people, and the court of public opinion was not too kind to it. And I think once we saw in 2021, the bracelets worn by the Brooklyn Cyclones and the team they were visiting team they were playing for a game, about, housing, I think was the big thing at the point. And then the next year, MLB covered housing for minor leaguers, because going to a new city, you have a day in a hotel, maybe 2 days in a hotel to find a new lease, or move in with, like you said, 6 or 7 other guys, something close to the ballpark, something cheap, something month to month, because you don't want to sign a 6-month lease because you could get sent up or down or released at any moment. I've heard of guys having a lease in high AA and AAA the same year because they went up and down, and now they're paying 3 different times rents trying to get guys to fill their places. So once we kind of used public pressure to get better conditions for housing, we thought, why stop there, and that we could get better conditions in a lot of different parts of our job. So that's kind of how that started.
I mean, like when teams, I feel like teams, it would be a slam dunk. Like if you were to ask front offices, if you were to invest $2 million in your minor league system, they'd be able to eat well, they'd be able to live well. You would think that they would take that as, kind of an investment, but a lot of them, I guess, haven't. I mean, why do you think, wouldn't you think it's a slam dunk for teams to want their minor leaguers to be taken care of? And I guess, why did it take so long?
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, I couldn't agree more. I think investing in player development is a smart business decision. You want to get the best out of your players. You want them to be healthy and comfortable and have enough sleep, well hydrated, well, just being them put in the best position possible to have success. Not worry about how they're going to pay for coverage and training in the off season and where their next meal is going to come from, and running out of money in December. I think there were several barriers to that being improved, and hopefully we're past them. We're in the negotiating process right now, trying to get the best deal in place for the upcoming season and for the next 5 years.
And is there anything to be said about some of the guys that are drafted in the higher rounds? And I know you've played with a ton of them, guys that have been drafted in the first or second or third round that have the signing bonus. Do you think teams kind of think of the signing bonus as, compensation for not treating them, are not paying them well? Do you ever find that where, okay, we gave this guy a $3 million signing bonus? Yeah, what do you think about that?
That's a question you're going to have to ask team owners. I don't know how they view the compensation that they're paying players, but the majority of minor leaguers don't have large signing bonuses, life-saving money. And so I think, we got to get better working conditions for everybody.
And I think I read somewhere that your parents were kind of instrumental as well in some kind of nursing union, if I'm not mistaken. Are they aware of what you're doing? And is there any conversation between them and you throughout this entire effort?
Yeah, they are very well aware of what I've been doing and fully support it. I think they were very proud of me when they heard about it, and support me.
So now that minor league players will be a part of the Players Association, what will change? I guess from the outsider looking in, a lot of fans want to know what this means and how this will change things. From your interpretation of I guess, maybe a new deal, you mentioned that that's being worked on. What will change, and I guess what are minor leaguers still continuing to advocate for?
I think the goal is to get a livable wage, better salaries. Um, we want to negotiate and come to terms over things like transportation, housing, terms and conditions, the pay for spring training, pay for camps in the off season when you get invited, everything that is involved between the player and the team over the course of a year we're trying to bargain over and come to terms with. So hopefully life improves for a lot of different aspects for a lot of different players and their families.
Because in the past, you guys did not get paid during spring training. Is that right?
That's correct.
So I mean, that probably presents the chance of a lot of weird and interesting jobs. I've talked to people that have worked at a gym so that they could get the luxury of the equipment. Did you have like a weird job that you worked while playing minor league baseball and maybe not making much?
Yeah, I had an off-season job. It wasn't particularly weird. It was in retail at a sporting goods store. I worked at a baseball store and sold baseball equipment. Um, but yeah, I worked a 9 to 5, worked 40 hours a week for a few months, and then would go to the gym early in the morning, like 6 a.m. before my shift started, and then try to get to the park right after work where there was still sunlight out and play catch while there was still daylight.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely something that we would hope to see changed as minor league players, kind of maybe not having to work 3-4 jobs, or at least 2-3 jobs during the off season. So you get called up with the Twins. I mean, what's it like playing in, I guess Taylor Rogers is one of the guys that you played with in Minnesota. And I read that he was your catch partner. He was your throwing partner. And that one of the quotes was that he wanted to play with you because you're a sidearm guy, and his brother, Tyler, is a submarine guy. So he was kind of used to maybe the arm angle a little bit. What is your relationship with him? And when you got to San Francisco, or when you got to Giants camp, did you expect to pick off right where you left off with Taylor at all, with in terms of being a throwing partner again?
Um, yeah, he was my throwing partner in Minnesota, but I knew once I came over here, him and his brother definitely have a special connection, and that wasn't going to continue for us. But it was awesome to be teammates with him again and to see him and his brother on the same team and how they interact and feed off each other. They're just so similar. Their jokes, their sense of humor, their cadence, the inflections in their voice, they sound very similar. So they're a blast to be around. And yeah, it was great having him in Minnesota, and I'm really happy he's on the Giants because not only is he a great guy, but he's a really good pitcher.
And being with Taylor in Minnesota, I mean, you probably know the facial structure, so you're able to tell them apart, right? Or maybe not.
Yeah, no, I can tell them apart because I've spent so much time with Taylor. I think it takes guys a a hot minute if they're both new.
Yeah, man, I feel bad for the guys that are just new to the team altogether and haven't played with Taylor or Tyler. That would just be a horrendous situation. But I guess Jock said that he's going to call them Raj, and I guess that's like a neutral term for. They'll answer. Both of them will answer it. I mentioned that you're a guy who throws with a lower arm slot. And it generates a lot of ground balls. Is that kind of, are you a guy that, every pitcher likes their strikeouts, of course, but do you feel like your style of pitching, maybe more complements you like the 1-pitch outs more than the 5-pitch strikeouts? Would that be on point? Would that be accurate?
Yeah, if I could have a 1-pitch out guaranteed versus a 5 or 6-pitch strikeout, I would take the 1-pitch out for sure.
Were you always
Save
a guy
bullets.
that threw sidearm? Was that something that changed when you got to the pro baseball?
No, I switched my third year at Cal in 2012. I wasn't very effective over the top. I needed to make a change. My coach suggested it. I kind of ran with it, took it seriously, added some weight, added some velo, and found a second pitch that I could throw for a strike. And then it became like much easier to compete at a high level when my fastball had a little bit more movement. So I was able to pitch a lot more. I learned a lot more my fourth year than I pitched my fifth year. I had a lot of success, and then the Twins took a chance on me. So it's actually been instrumental in my making baseball my career. I don't think I would have played after college had I not made the switch.
Do you think your style of pitching is a little bit being overshadowed by, or I don't want to say dying, because I think there's always going to be a point in time for sinker ball pitchers, but I mean, you look in the bullpens now and you see it all the time. The guys throwing 96, 97, 98 with like two seam movement, and a lot of them have cutters that are like just the same velocity with the wipeout slider. I mean, do you feel like you have to kind of make up for the, not having the 98, 99? Or do you feel like, I mean, I guess the question is, because I'm stumbling here, the question is, do you feel like your type of, the type of pitcher that you are, is it going extinct at all? Or is there still plenty of opportunity for a guy who's kind of throwing at a low 3/4 release that could get outs?
I think teams like different looks. Obviously, yeah, the average velocity of reliever is spiking and has been for a few years, but am I getting aged out of the game? For sure. Everyone behind me is throwing 100 miles an hour. To be said about teams liking different looks. They like guys with lower arm slots. They like guys who hide the ball a little bit. Someone who's a sinker slider guy, and then someone who's a four seam curveball guy, a little more north south. Outliers, people who are different, people who are deceptive, someone who can make the hitter feel uncomfortable, not only with their stuff, but with their, intangible style of pitching. Yeah.
And as a ground ball guy, is it less I guess I should say, is as a ground ball guy, are you looking forward to seeing your defenders play kind of normal positions with the kind of the banning of the defensive shifts or the over shifts? Or is it kind of like part of your game to have that shortstop normally behind second and to have the second baseman in shallow right field? Where are your, thoughts on, I guess, the shift and kind of dealing with that? Because I know it's been
Yeah.
in the minor league level for a little bit now, but we're going to see it in the big leagues now.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see. You know, you only remember the times where the shift doesn't work for you. Of course, you always remember when you get a ground ball to second base and the second baseman's not standing there, and you think the shift is the worst thing ever, and you don't remember the screaming line drives hit right at guys when they're shifted. So I'm sure it helped me get a lot of outs, and I think guys will make more spectacular, cool plays when they got to range up a little bit farther. So hopefully it makes defense more exciting. I don't think it's going to help my ERA. I think there'll be more hits, but that's part of the game. You just have to adjust to, you know, and keep going out there doing your thing.
Do you feel like all these new
Trust that the
rules
guys.
Yeah, do you feel like all these new rules are just kind of like targeted against the pitcher? Because I mean, I hate to say it, but it does kind of feel that way. You look at in the late '60s when pitching was just so good, they had to lower the mound, and then pitching was so good, they had to add a DH, and then pitching was so good, they were obsessive over the sticky stuff and the foreign substances. So it seems like every time pitching is good, there's a move that is made to amplify offense. Do you feel like the pitching is, baseball's just straight up afraid of really dominant pitching?
Yeah, I think they're trying to, of course, create more action in the game. And the less strikeouts there are, the more action there is. So when the ball's in play, that's more exciting than watching a guy punch out on 4 straight curveballs.
But you
Um,
you want to see the guy punch out on 4
but
straight
I think
curveballs, right?
if I'm pitching, yeah, of course, I would love to do that. But I think the barometer for good just moves with each era. I think if the league wide ERA goes up half a run, then if you had the same ERA in 2023 that you had in 2020, you're now better. So we'll see how it goes. I'm excited to watch it play out. And it'll be a little bit different, but I think everyone will get used to it quick.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And then the other thing that is coming into play is going to be this pitch clock, and we hear pitchers that are taking advantage of it. The Max Scherzers of the world who are playing around with it, they're having a good time. And then Alex Cobb said something about he pitched in the game with it, and he said that he felt rushed. He said that he felt like it wasn't baseball. Um, are you a guy that takes pride in working quick, or was it something that you needed to kind of adjust to?
I do work fairly quick, but it's definitely something you have to adjust to because you have to keep an eye on it at all times, especially in between batters and foul balls. When usually you walk around the mound, you get rosin, you clean your cleats. You don't have time for much of that anymore, especially with nobody on and the clock's only at 15 seconds. I think it'll be an adjustment, and we'll see some games decided and or affected by these. It should be. But like I said, I think guys will get used to it. I also think there'll be adjustments to how long the clock is. It's all new. And if it gets out of hand, then changes will be made.
Yeah, I know nobody really cares about my opinion, but I think 15 seconds is way too quick. I think that I looked it up on Baseball Savant, and I saw that there's only like 15 guys that even averaged below 15 seconds last year. And I mean, it just seems like 15 is too long. Maybe 18, 19, 20 seconds would be more realistic, but it just seems like 15 seconds is kind of a hoot. And the disengagements, I mean, you can't really step off. You can only step off twice. You can only throw over. You only have 2 disengagements, and a throw over counts as a disengagement. I mean, would you ever try and throw over just to give yourself some rest at all? Because I know the common argument that's going around right now is these guys don't have time to rest in between pitches. Is that something you've noticed, or do you feel like you're, I guess, physically capable enough to control your breathing and control everything? Because I know it depends on the pitcher.
Yeah, I don't think it's the physical aspect of, I'm not physically rested from the last pitch. I need to pitch again. I think it's more mental about thinking through the at bat and what pitch selection and what this guy's done in previous at bats that game or previous games in the series earlier in the weekend. Sometimes you got a lot to think about out there on the mound, and that's what makes you feel rushed when you can just see the clock and the presence of the clock, even if you have time left. Just see it counting down is a little bit, rushing, I guess, for putting a little bit of pressure on you. 2 pickoffs, and then the third one you have to get him out. Otherwise, if he reaches back safely, it's a balk. I think that'll definitely increase the amount of stolen bases and definitely the stolen base attempts. We saw that last year in AAA, right? I think stolen base attempts on the 0-0 count went up like 60% or 70%. So
Wow.
That'll definitely translate to the game. You'll have more action, which I think is exciting. And you don't get that courtesy throw over when a guy reaches base and you kind of throw over to check on him. That's going to be gone. That's why people are running with 0-0 counts.
Do the new bases really look like pizza boxes?
No, bro, I don't even recognize that they're larger. If no one had said anything to me, because I don't spend much time standing on bases anyways. If no one had said anything to me, I wouldn't have noticed.
That's what it seems like. That's what, it seems like, because I have not been in spring training. I'll see them on opening day, but it seems like we're really not going to see the effects of these new bases until we all of a sudden, look at the stolen base stats at the end of the year and say, oh, there was 10% more steals, or, oh, Trey Turner had 52 instead of 40, so I feel like it's going to be something we're going to end up seeing at the end of the year. But interesting that you would not have known if somebody didn't say anything. Now, I know PitchCom is kind of like, it's not used at every level of the minor leagues. But would you feel comfortable calling your own game? Because that's something we've seen too. And I know it can't be easy with the pitch clock, and you have to know what you're going to throw, and you have to kind of pre-think a little bit instead of taking the time. But would you feel comfortable with that sort of thing?
Yeah, definitely. You want to have a plan in mind when you enter the game anyways, and plan so you can have the same pitch selection. But I'm comfortable calling my own game if that's what needs to happen. I think starters are going to do that. I think relievers will just rely on the catcher and their experience in the game to call pitches, but some relievers may do it too.
Yeah, and it's going to take, I think, a lot of responsibility away from the catcher, and maybe it will give them a chance to focus on maybe the uptick in stolen bases, maybe blocking balls in the dirt. Maybe it will give them some better opportunities there as well. Trevor, man, I appreciate you coming on. This was a blast getting to pick your brain about all the new things happening in the minor leagues with the union stuff, and of course the new rules there. And definitely wishing you the best of luck this upcoming season. I appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, no problem. Again, thanks for inviting me on. I had a lot of fun. Thanks for having me, and go Giants.
Yeah, and of course the WCL connection is strong, and I will be, if you know anybody else in the WCL, man, just let me know, and we're gonna get I want to make this the official baseball podcast of the West Catholic Athletic League. So that's gonna happen pretty soon. I've gotten a few people on already that are part of that, and you're definitely a part of the club too. So appreciate it, and everybody could follow the podcast on Twitter and Instagram at RizzoCast. Check us out. And then, of course, you could follow Trevor on Twitter. His handle is at @T_Hildy, HILDY. And it's funny because there's a lot of Giants fans on my feed that really treasure that you follow them. So I don't know if you know this, but you're kind of like a cult hero to a lot of people on Giants Twitter. Are you aware of this?
Yeah, I know there's Giants fans are very active on Twitter. And I follow them, a lot of them back because they're passionate and funny, and and as chronically online as I am, so I enjoy it.
Chronically online, yeah, it's great. And they always say whenever you come into the game, I always see on my feed our mutual is pitching. So T Hildy's pitching the mutual. So you kind of got like a mini fan club there. So take
I
that
love it.
all in. And then of course everybody could find the podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, wherever you find your podcasts. Go check it out. Thank you all for listening and have a great day.